Good morning, guys. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Ismail Labaya and welcome to Halal Talk Singapore. Welcome Philippines, welcome Singapore, welcome world. And today we have a great topic, very informative topic for everyone. You know, halal is for everyone. It's about ingredients. Okay? And today also we have panelists from the Micro Entrepreneur Association of the Philippines, KNREP, by Miss Aida Enriquez. But before that, let me introduce to you the main host direct from Singapore, Professor Azlan Oppier. Good morning. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Brother Ismail, how are you? How are
Yeah.
you guys in
I'm
the
very
Philippines?
fine. Thank you. How about you?
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, it is good.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the year, so it's a bit cooling in Singapore.
Wow.
Probably in the Philippines too.
Yes, yes. I'm missing Singapore, brother Aslan. I want to go
Oh,
there again. I like
yeah,
to eat the food because it's really halal there. And the security, peaceful, and the beauty of Singapore. I admire really what beautiful Singapore is. Anyway, what's our topic today? I told the viewer that your topic is very informative, great topic because it's about what they call that halal ingredients.
yes. Starting today, we'll be touching on halal ingredients, which is a heavy topic and most crucial in producing halal food or drinks. Anything related with
Yes,
halal. Yes.
yeah. It's about raw materials.
Yes, yes. Mainly raw materials, but not forgetting. Oh, Sister Aida is here. How are you,
Hi, good
Sister?
morning.
Hello.
How are you?
Good morning.
It's good
So
to see
late.
you.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no
I
problem. No
thought
problem.
I
It's
was
still
not
early.
invited.
You're always invited because if you're not here, the show is not complete without asking question
Wow.
to Professor Aslan.
Yes,
Mm.
for sure. Yes.
So
Sister
honored.
Aida,
So honored. Thank you
today
very much.
we'll be touching on halal ingredients. This is a very important topic, especially for manufacturers and producers. What's the difference between producers and manufacturers is that producers are usually involved in agriculture or farming. They produce the main product while manufacturers take over once the is handed over to them. We'll be touching on halal ingredients today in food processing. So, like what I say from the producers, for example, milk is produced from the farm. They are not manufactured. Producers, for example, agriculture, potatoes, onions, or garlic, or maybe we're talking about ubi, ubi, which is the tapioca. These are producers. They produce the product, and manufacturers are the one who process the product. So we'll be touching on food processing today. We'll be having a slide support. Yep. So we look at halal ingredients in food processing. Maybe we can show the first slide. Okay. Yep, that's halal ingredients in food processing. This session will take probably 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the question asked, whether it's there's a lot or not. And that's my email. If you have any things that you are unsure, you can also email me. Of course, you have brother Ismail is there who can also assist. All right. So we look at halal ingredients in food processing. The roadmap that we're going to go through, the content, the next slide here, is we look at the food processing. What is food processing? What are the ingredient sources, the halal ingredients, the haram ingredients, questionable masbuh ingredients, If you have not, if this is the first time you're viewing this video, halal is what is permitted, haram is the opposite of halal, which is not permitted, and the questionable or the masbuh is in between. Then we have the e-codes. E-codes involve the byproduct. When we say, for example, pork or pig, of course, there's two categories in pig. There's pig and there's boar. Boar is, or sorry, or hog. Yeah, there's three categories. So hog is much bigger. We have the pig and the boar. These three are related to pork. And when we say the meat is not permissible, not halal, the byproduct of this item is also considered not halal by Muslim. For example, the pig hair, the pig bones, anything related to the pig itself, it's not allowed. That's under the e-codes, the byproduct. Then we look at the requirements for halal food processing. What are the requirements in order to get your food halal? It's not just the food alone, but the process, which covers the other aspect. For example, it is broken. When we look at halal processing, we look at three different things. Number one, the ingredient. Ingredient come in two form. They are whether they are wet or they are dry. So there's dry goods and there are perishable wet goods. And then we look at the what we call the for example, they use the brush, the appliances used. These are also the second item that we have to look at. And number three, we look at the chemical use. What kind of chemical? Because in food processing, once you process the food, you need to wash, and the chemical use in contact with where the food is made is also equally important. So three aspects. All right. Next slide, we shall look at food processing. So once food processing is a set of methods and techniques used to transform raw ingredients into food or to transform food into other forms for consumption by humans or animals, either in the home or by the food industry. So you see, these are the manufacturers who process this food. These are not producers. The producers are the level one. The aims of food processing to ensure that you have safe and sure food products, to improve safety and freshness of products, improve and control the functionality of food constituents. We look at increase the storage life of food products, keep quality and typicity of food products, to improve or maintain nutritional values, development of traditional and innovative food products, and isolate specific compounds and exploit the biological potential of constituents. So this is the aim of food processing. The method used for food conservation, they use refrigeration, freezing, they use methods using heating, whether it's pasteurized, sterilized, or UHT processed. We have methods by desiccation, concentration, liquid food like milk, there's drying, and other methods, which is by filtration, high pressure, ultrasound, and pulse electrical field. So there is different methods in conserving food. Whether they before consumption, whether they dry it or they cook it or whether they sterilize it. So there are different methods in food conservation. Processing and conservation improved by an adapted packaging, sterile, impenetrable to water, etc. Yeah. So this is once you process the food, how do they conserve before it is passed down to the consumer? Next, we look at the food ingredient source. Yeah, sources. Yeah. All right. So mainly processed foods come from either animals, such as milk, eggs, meat, seafood. We look at plants, fruits, vegetables, spices, seafood. Sorry, plants or how come plants? There's no seafood there. I'm sorry about that. Synthetic flavors, colors, additive, fermented. You have organic acids, cultures, and enzyme. Group of food ingredients. Number one, we have preservative, we have sweeteners, color additive, flavor, spices, flavor enhancers, fat replacers, nutrient, emulsifiers, we have stabilizers, thickeners, binders, texturizers. When we look at halal, we look at all these. It's not just the chicken. For example, we are selling uh, chicken ready to be grilled. So we look at the preservative use. What is being used as the preservative? We will look whether is it halal. We have sweeteners, for example, in beverages. So we shall look at what are the sweeteners used, whether is it stevia, or is it cane sugar or beetroot sugar. We look at the different kind of sweeteners, even sweeteners from milk or artificial sweeteners. We look at color additives. Color additives is quite important because not all mazhab, if you remember, mazhab is the different sect of Muslim. Not all the different sectors of Muslim, not all accept, for example, the red color. Yeah, red color in the food industry comes from cochineal, which we will cover a bit later. So if you are exporting into Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, you have to be very careful with food which has a red color. Red color is crucial. Even all over the world, Muslims they are mainly Pakistanis or Indians. You can find them anywhere in the world. These are the people from the mainly Hanafi school of thought, and they are very sensitive about the color red. So even if you are going to export to UK or Europe, they will label your food as haram, and they will not only
Mm-hmm.
that, they will tell everybody that your food is haram. So be very careful when you want to export because Hanafis are everywhere, all over the world. Yeah, you these are sensitive product. Um, Hanafi is very careful with the color red. All right. So although it looks this list look like it's not harmful, but it is. Yeah, color. For example, flavors, spices, flavors, sensitive flavors. What are they? Vanilla, for example. Raspberry flavor, vanilla flavor. These are the two most crucial in performing halal. Okay, I will. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So vanilla and raspberry, like what I say, when you want to make ice cream, for example, vanilla flavor ice cream and raspberry flavor ice cream, they have a very sensitive, crucial ingredient that you must look into. Yeah. Okay. Next is the flavor enhancers. These again flavors can come from raspberry from vanilla. These are flavor enhancers. Fat replacers. You know, when you buy a milk, condensed milk, I'm not sure what brand in the Philippines, but for example, Milkmaid or FNN, these are usually milk, condensed milk in a tin. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be very careful because not all milk are milk, because some of them are actually palm fat. Yeah, they are not milk, but Milkmaid is a good brand. It's usually milk. Milkmaid is very normally if it's expensive, it is cow milk. There is cow milk, but it is the cheaper one. Normally, do not have cow milk at all. Although they call it milk, but there's no cow milk. There's mostly made of palm fat. So these are the fat replacers. So fat is again another very sensitive product in halal. Nutrients. We are looking at nutrients. Later, you will see surprisingly a lot of nutrients. For example, vitamin C, riboflavin, the vitamin B. All these nutrients although when you eat if you eat supplement, you see vitamin C, beta carotene. These can come from non-halal ingredient. Yep. So nutrients is also questionable.
Mhm.
Then we have the emulsifiers. Yeah, later we go through the E codes. These are meant to assist food in the presentation, in their flavor, or in the as a stabilizer, or as like what they wrote below: stabilizers, thickeners, binders, texturizers. This uses some sort of emulsifier, sometimes to prolong food, because food not so fresh. You need something to help them stay fresh longer. The longer the food, uh, the food expiry, that means there are a bit more of emulsifiers added inside. I stop at this moment, Sister Ida. If you have any question on this group of food ingredients, this is just the beginning, and there's a lot.
Okay. Usually, if the food has a very long shelf life,
Yes,
we already suspect it as using chemicals rather than the organic items.
yes.
So, how do we know if it is using chemical for stabilizer or the other processing mixtures that you said, or it is really organic in nature? Because we know organic in nature does not go beyond 1 week and then it becomes stale.
You are right. In the terms of halal, we do not ask the manufacturers the the volume, meaning we only ask what they use, but they will not tell us how much they use, because these are trade secrets. For example, when they produce uh, maybe a chocolate, yeah, maybe the chocolate is popular and tastes very nice,
Yes.
they will just tell us what they use, but they will not tell us the percentage used, what is the mixture, how many of what, because these are trade secrets that they do not release. And we understand that. So to make it halal, we just ask what is put inside. For trade secrets, this is something that you have, unless you know the manufacturer, you can claim, because even ingredient, they do not tell you the mixture, because these are trade secrets. And what is worrying is that, for example, in the US, they are sometimes protected, meaning certain things under certain amount, for example, 0.5%, they are allowed to hide it. So this is what is worrying. So chocolate, for example, coming from USA, they can hide gelatin because they just put a little bit and Muslim do not know. So, it depends on your country regulation, and trade secrets. I can't really advise you how many they put. For example, the sodium benzoate is very popular in soya sauce. To produce soya
Yeah.
sauce, to make it long, they put sodium benzoate, and the percentage sometimes can be very harmful. But again, when we do halal, we do not know how much they put. This is we I can't really advise you on that.
Okay. So that is that is already the shelf life.
Yes,
About the quality, for example, uh, Coca-Cola.
yes,
Before, the taste of Coca-Cola is different from the taste of Coca-Cola today,
okay,
correct? Because they are
okay,
now using uh, artificial sugar.
correct, yes.
So, will that be halal or not? Because that is
Uh,
artificial. And as you said, they will not tell you the percentage that they're using. So, the taste is more chemical.
yes, yes, because they use artificial sweetener. The popular one is I can't remember actually. Is
Aspartame.
Yes, aspartame. Yes,
Yeah.
aspartame is a chemical, and
Yes.
aspartame, if even without halal, they we have been warned that it can cause cancer. Yeah.
Correct.
So if you understand aspartame, sweeteners,
Yes.
swe- uh, for sweeteners, alternative source which is halal is stevia. You can look for stevia, this plant, which Coca-Cola also uses, but less popular. Stevia is another compound which is safe rather than aspartame. And then we also look at because the world is there's requests from government. For example, in Singapore, there have been requests that all these Coca-Cola, all these fizzy drink must have healthier choice. Or I wouldn't say must have, but it's preferred with halal. Sorry, with healthier choice, meaning they must use things like aspartame. They don't use cane sugar. In Southeast Asia, we use a lot of cane sugar. In Europe, they use beet sugar. And alternative to that is stevia. But the problem is that stevia is not as mass as cane sugar. That means it is lesser in production, number one. Number two, it costs slightly more. So these are concerns. But if you go for Coca-Cola, there is a green color. This is stevia Coca-Cola, which is healthier. So the level of how much they put is a trade secret. But in the ingredient, you can see Coca-Cola ingredient. They stated there aspartame, for example. They state, but how much they put, we do not know.
Okay.
Yes,
So really, it's your best
if,
interest to look into it individually. The
yes,
consumers must beware.
yeah.
It
These
is
are
not
trade
because
secret.
you see they say this is healthy or this is not organic or this is chemical. They're not going to tell you that.
Yes, you are right. You are right. You can look at the nutritional value. Again, nutritional value is optional. In terms of it is not regulatory that you must do it, but certain food you have to put it there, like, like milk powder. But other than that, it's not really compulsory. So we look at the nutritional value. If there is no value, but again, taste is another thing. Certain things are not healthy, but still people want to take it. If we can go to the slides, so Sister Ida can look at the slides, and if there's any question like this, I was saying the color just now, the group of food ingredient number one, just before this. Okay, so Sister Ida, from there, I was talking about the color additive. So be very careful. Please inform all your manufacturers about the color. Red must be very careful, and the flavor enhancers such as vanilla and raspberry. These two are the most, uh, high risk for halal. Yep. Later, I'll go through the emulsifiers in detail. So, is there any question from here, Sister Ida?
No, not at
Yeah,
the
I
moment.
have a question, brother.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
what's can you tell the viewer in the Philippines what do you mean by the color? What's the concern about the red color? And
Okay.
how
I will
about the
go.
strawberry color? Strawberry. My favorite color is strawberry.
He
Almost
likes
red.
the strawberry.
I will go into details later on the slides
Ah,
because yeah. But strawberry is okay. There is no issue.
okay.
All right. So
Okay.
so we shall go to the food ingredients number two, and I can continue from there. We are looking at leavening agents, anti-caking agents, humectants, yeast nutrients, dough strengtheners, conditioners, firming agents, enzymes, preparations, and gases. We look at this, for example, we look at anti-caking or yeast. Normally when they process chicken, when they put it into hot water, or when sometimes they need to wash certain food, they are they use clarifiers. These clarifiers sometimes can contain gelatin. For example, in the case of fruit juice, if you take an apple and you blend it yourself, you will see that there is a lot of cloud. You will never see a clear juice. Or you take a pear or any fruit, orange, when you blend them, you put it inside a blender, you will see what we call a lot of cloud. It is not a clear juice. Unlike the juice that you buy from the shop, from a restaurant, from a supermarket. Normally, when you buy apple juice, it is clear. Okay, these clouds, how do they clear the clouds to make it, transparent like what you buy in the supermarket? Is that they use gelatin. They use gelatin to make fruit juices clear. So when you buy next time when you buy apple juice or orange juice, any fruit juices, if you see it's a clear juice, that means gelatin has been used. And for Muslims, I know a lot of Muslims does not know this. If you look at fruit juices, make sure there is a halal logo. So this can be, you should, Brother Ismail, you should look for fruit juice producers, manufacturers, and tell them they must apply for halal certificate. Because for Muslims to
Mm-hmm.
consume, it has to have a halal logo because of the clouding that they use as a clarifier. Next, we look at yeast nutrient. Yeast usually come from the beer industry. Yeast is used in producing beer. So after they produce beer, the yeast is being washed and sell, and they sell it. So this yeast is then used to make like donuts or breads or cakes. It is halal, yeah, because the yeast is washed, so it is used and there is no issue. Although some conservative Muslim they argue, that it is come from the beer industry, but yeast on its own can be used. Is very popular in the donut industry. Yeah, so that is the yeast nutrients. We look at the dough strengtheners, which is normally the flour. Some call it flour. This flour, they to make it strong. To make it strong, they use hair. Yep, as the scientific name is L-cysteine. L-cysteine comes from hair. So this hair can come from duck, yeah, usually duck hair, or from human hair. It's very popular in Europe, for example, to use human hair as a strengthener for flour. So anything in Islam, anything that comes from a human body is haram. Yeah, that means if there is a L-cysteine, we will ask for the halal certificate to ensure that it comes not from human hair. An enzyme, for example, enzyme when we produce cheese or butter or what do you call that? The other word. So this solid milk, we call it, because from the even cheese, yeah, from liquid it turns to solid. To make it solid, we use enzyme, and this usually come from animals. Two animals which is popular is the calf, yeah, is the baby calf, or come from pig. The one coming from pig is the cheapest. So a lot of producers, a lot of manufacturers tend to get it from the pig industry because it's cheap. So they use the enzyme to assist the liquid to turn into solid. That is the reason why we always ask for halal certificate for solid milk, such as cheese, butter, uh, what's the other one for the spread, any spread which is coming from dairy, we ensure that it has to have halal certification. Yep.
How about the
The
lard,
lard,
Professor?
lard is the fat replaces. The ingredient number one earlier on we look at, that is the lard. There are actually three. One coming from the duck, one coming from the cow and one coming from pig. The one coming from pig is known as lard, which is widely used not in not really in the Middle East, but I see it a lot being used in, for example, in China or in Europe. They sell
Mm,
lard in bottle. Lard
yes.
in it in liquid state. Lard when it's in liquid state, it just look like oil. So
Mm,
when you visit a restaurant, if you see liquid oil, it can be lard. Yeah, only when it harden, it become fat solids. So we have to be very careful with oil, liquid oil. Again, that is why we ask for halal certification because
yes.
lard is a byproduct of pig. Yeah, and that is the lard that you have just asked. Gases is can be used in various form. Among the popular one, gases is being used to make poultry in the poultry industry is popular to make it is something like stunning to make the bird unconscious before slaughtering. The problem with gases is that sometimes it kills the animal even before it is being slaughtered. So gases is very sensitive and not the least preferred in the slaughtering industry. Although some poultry industry they allow the use of gases, it is not favored in the Islamic world. So just be careful when poultry is involved. Make sure there is no gas involved. All right. Is there any question for this ingredient number two at this moment,
I
Sister
like
Ida?
to, Brother
Sure.
Aslan, let's greet
Yes.
our friend from the Philippines, Brother Ali Muhammad Baruhom.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum, brother.
Welcome,
Yeah.
salam. Well, Brother Ali, it's good to have you back. And, please spread the word and promote this program because
Yeah.
not, or I would say many people are unaware of the the halal issues that is roving around the world. Even Muslim themselves, I have instances where non-Muslim are more strict than the Muslim themselves.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And
So this
also somebody from it's Linsel Estogeg Kendagan. Hi, also.
hi,
Yeah.
hi, Lindsay. How are you? It's good to see you.
Nice name,
Yeah.
Linsel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Sister
Okay.
Ida, if you have any question on this part
Yeah.
number two,
Talking
yes,
about lard,
yes.
going back to lard, how do we decide that this lard came from pig, this lard came from other kinds of meat?
In no, lard is only
Only in the
linked to.
only in the smell.
Okay, lard 99.99% comes from pig. There's a
Yeah.
very, very small percentage that comes from palm,
From other kind.
from palm.
So
But
so we should not use that in
yes,
making like the donut and then the pancakes.
Bread. Bread.
yes.
But we can
Lard,
use margarine.
margarine, if it does not contain, remember I told you about the enzyme. So it cannot contain enzyme that comes from pig. Just now,
Margarine comes from the plants, isn't it, Bart?
for
The
I think
margarine
it
is
comes
from the plants.
from milk.
yes,
Butter.
yes,
Buttermilk.
butter and
Oh,
margarine are
butter
daily
comes from
products.
milk, but the margarine comes from plant, diba?
Margarine can also come from dairy industry. Margarine there is, you can see margarine coming from milk industry, also from plant, because palm, the palm fruit that normally they use it for oil, palm fat, palm fat can be margarine. It can also be lard, but commercially lard comes from pig because people don't buy lard that comes from palm. It is probably tastes different with different texture, but lard unless you produce it from palm, then it can be halal. But like what I say,
Okay.
99.99% comes from pig. So avoid lard, and if you use margarine, make sure it comes from palm fat. But the issue with palm fat is that it is unhealthy. So but people still eat. It's unhealthy. Palm fat is unhealthy. That's why in Europe probably they also ban not only because of that. It's also because of the deforestation. Yeah, a lot of. But I shall not discuss about palm because it's a topic by itself which is debatable. All right. So on this ingredient number two, is there any further question, Brother Ismail or Sister Ida?
No more.
All right.
No.
So we shall then proceed to the next slide, which is on halal ingredients. Just now we spoke about food ingredients here. Now we will go to the next slide to talk about halal ingredients. Can we move the slide to halal ingredients? Okay, never mind. Let me just start. Okay, the halal ingredients, the number one here, which is slide number one. Only Allah,
Alright.
the supreme
Yeah,
lawgiver.
yeah. Halal ingredient yan.
Yeah, the next slide. Yeah, all right. Only Allah, the supreme lawgiver, can ordain what is halal and what is haram. So in Islam, we believe that only God can say what is halal and what is haram. Halal food means food fit for human consumption and permitted by laws of Islam or permissible and lawful. The food or its ingredients do not contain any parts or products of animals that are non-halal or products of animal which are not slaughtered according to the laws of Islam. If you remember, I said the difference between a halal meat and non-halal meat is just the permission that we ask from God, where I said that we need to get God's permission to take away life. So when we slaughter an animal like chicken, for example, we just say in the name of God. Yeah, we just ask for permission. That is the only difference between halal and non-halal meat. It's just the simple word in the name of God. Because we are Muslim, we call in the name of Allah. In Jew, they will say in the name of their God. That's it. We just ask for permission. So it is not a surprise in many countries. They eat, they prefer halal and their production are 100% halal. It's just that they don't tell you. When a company produces meat, they make it all halal, but they sell it in two packaging, one with halal logo, one is without halal logo. Why do they do that? Because some people, when they see halal logo, they are scared to eat. They think by eating halal, they become Islam, they become Muslim. So because of that, they do not put the word halal or any logo. In Australia, for example, they do not put halal logo, although it's halal, because there is a movement against halal because they feel that halal food is more expensive. We are making money from the halal industry, so there is a movement which is anti halal. So because of that, they do not put the halal logo there, so to ensure that everybody consume and people don't get angry by looking at the halal logo.
Mm-hmm.
Next is halal ingredient number two. We look at the halal ingredient must not be a najis. What is a najis? I will go through in a while. Basically, najis are things that are haram. Halal ingredients must be safe and not harmful. Yeah, like what I say, halal food. We look not only at the way it's slaughtered. We also look at the cleanliness. It's more holistic. We look at other things also that it comes in contact with. I will go into more detail in a while. Next, we look at halal ingredients are neither prepared, processed, or manufactured using najis equipment, nor remain in contact with najis item. Najis mean is dirty. Is dirty. Yeah? Anything dirty is considered not halal. You can have chicken that is being slaughtered the Islamic way, but in the slaughterhouse there is a lot of rat, there is a lot of dirt. People are not practicing safety, or maybe they're not practicing hygiene. This also is considered not halal. We cannot issue certificate when we see all these things, dirty things. We do not issue halal certificate. Next slide. The sources of halal ingredient. Vegetable ingredients, all halal except intoxicating. So when you want to make halal product coming from plant, make sure that it is does not intoxicate because they or is dangerous. For example, mushroom. We have mushroom which is poisonous. So this cannot be turned into halal. Anything poisonous or intoxicating, what for example, uh, marijuana, yeah, marijuana, or popular known as ganja. You understand cannabis or marijuana is say it is a drug, but in Europe or US, it is they use it to treat certain patient using the oil, cannabis oil. So
Yeah.
this is intoxicating. When you take cannabis or smoke cannabis, you will feel very high. It's just like consuming beer. So this is not halal. Any plants or any vegetable that can cause harm, that can cause intoxication, these are not considered not halal. Yeah. So you see, halal is not just meat. Now we go into vegetable. Number two, animal derived ingredients. Animals must be of the halal species. This is one big topic that will take some time to explain. Number two, halal animals slaughtered by sane Muslim. Not all Muslim can slaughter animals. Usually men slaughter, usually, but women too can slaughter. And they must know what they are doing. Cannot be insane. Cannot be someone who lost their mind or intoxicated. These people cannot slaughter. We only usually slaughter by any Muslim can do it, but they must be sane. They must not be intoxicated. They must know what they are doing because they are, slaughtering, and they must ask permission from God. So they must be knowing what they are doing. Number three, ensure complete removal of blood from carcass. Okay, this one I will touch a bit later. And number four, human handling to be practiced. If it's being rough handled, this is not halal because in the Islam world we take care of the animal welfare. We make sure that before slaughter there are at least uh, water for the animal to consume. You can cut off the food. Yeah, normally the international guideline is any animal that you're going to keep at your holding area in the slaughterhouse. Normally there is a holding area, holding pen. If you're going to keep more than 24 hours, you must give food. Anything less than 24 hours in the holding pen, you do not need to give food, but you still must give drink, water. Yeah. So animal welfare includes giving water to the animal before it's being slaughtered, ensuring that it is handled properly, no rough handling. It is animal must be respected because these are also God's creation. So we have to respect the animal right to the moment, all the while until it is being slaughtered. And we look at synthetic ingredients, all must be halal. Synthetic are chemicals, additives, all these are chemicals that is being made as an ingredient to aid the process of food. So all this must be halal. Right? We go to the next slide. Haram ingredients. The haram ingredients means food or drink strictly prohibited by the Quran and Sunnah. All right. In this instance, I would like to explain to you that the basis for halal stated in the Quran there is four plus one. Let me explain. Stated in the our holy book, in the Quran, number one is pork. Number two is alcohol. This is actually the plus one, the beverage. Number two is actually in terms of food, pork, blood, dead animals or carcass, and animals slaughtered without reciting the name of Allah. So clearly stated in Quran, we cannot consume pork. When we say pork is the after process of three category of pork, which is earlier on I said is pig, bull, or hog. All these three meat is considered pork. Yeah, pig, boar, and hog. These three. Next is the blood. Why Muslim doesn't eat? Okay, let me just touch why in Islam we cannot consume pork, because pork comes under the category of scavenger. Scavengers are animals that eat anything. Yeah, if you put a pig, this is, again, this is, I'm not trying to belittle any other religion, but this is what we view as that pig usually, they are scavengers, they eat anything, even they can eat they can eat even another pig or any other things. So pig, not all animals are created as food, because certain creations by God are for certain purposes. For example, we have bees that makes honey. Only bees make honey, no other animals make honey. So scavengers are animals that eat anything. Other What are other scavengers that Muslim can't consume? Rodents, for example, rats, cockroaches, crow, vultures. All these animals come in the category of scavengers. Any scavengers we can consume. So now you see, not only pig, but we cannot consume crow, we cannot consume vulture, we cannot consume rats, we cannot consume cockroaches, because this comes under the category of scavengers. But the main scavenger is pig. That's why it's stated clearly that we cannot eat pig. Yeah, like what I say, halal, we go for cleanliness, wholesome, and healthy. All right, next is blood. Why does Islam not allow blood? Is because all sickness, if you see, comes from the blood. Yeah, for example, if you have HIV, it's from the blood. If you have, what do you call that? High, what was that? No, sweet blood sugar. What sugar? What is it called? If you have
Diabetic. Diabetics.
yes, diabetes from blood. If you have cholesterol, it's also related to blood. So blood is disease carrier. It it is where the disease carrier uh, is in blood, through blood. So that's why we are not allowed to consume blood, because it is considered dirty. But in the commercial food world, blood is being used for certain food. For example, in the case of surimi are like fish balls, crab stick, where they produce from the surimi uh, industry. So normally, if you see a crab stick, we would like to ensure that it is halal certified, because blood is being used for surimi products. Yeah. So this is where blood is being used. Blood is also sometimes being used to clean. For example, in the duck industry, duck poultry also. Yeah, duck. When they After they slaughter the duck, they will put it into the hot water, and from the hot water, once the defeather stage has passed, you can see that the duck usually will have a lot of, or they will have spots. To remove these spots, they use blood. They just use blood to remove the spot, to make sure that the duck texture is nice. So once the texture is nice, then they can sell it. Because if not, duck generally has many spots. So in this case, it is we are not consuming the blood, so there is not a crucial issue. This is common practice in China. You see, all your duck is very clean because they use blood to remove the spots. In this case, uh, some mazhab, some people find it is okay because we are not consuming the blood; it's just used for cleansing. So this is blood is considered dirty. So again, halal is always we go for clean, beneficial, and wholesome. So just now I already explained the pork, blood. Next is dead animals. Dead. Why animal die? This is land animals. I'm not talking about the sea. From the sea, if you catch a fish and you after that it dies, it is okay because it's from the sea. Without water, it will die. But if you see fishes bloated, or on the sea surface, dead fish on the surface, this is also considered haram. That means they died because, maybe because of oil spill or whatever. You can see a lot of uh, fishes suddenly float at the sea. This is also considered not halal because it is already contaminated. Fishes that
Mm.
when you catch is fresh, then later die, it's okay. Okay, dead animals, dead land animals. Yeah, I'm talking about land animals. Dead animals. Why they die? Because maybe because of disease, maybe because of other thing. Then they die. So this animal we don't consider it as halal. For example, you have a chicken crossing the road, and maybe a car go across, so it dies. We also cannot consume. It's considered dead animal. But some animals that are haunted, sorry, not haunted, sorry, hunted. Haunted is ghost, huh? Hunted by maybe a tiger. So a tiger
Yes.
catches a deer, and after that the lion or the tiger do not consume, then it is still half alive. The sign of death, I've mentioned before, there is few. Number one, there is no breathing. Number two, there is no pulse. And number three, it is still warm. These are sign of death. So as long as this three is still available, that means it's either breathing, or the pulse is still moving, or is it still warm, still considered alive. And a Muslim, when he saw an animal like that, which is edible, they can still slaughter the animal in the name of God, and they can still consume. It's a bit tricky, yeah. This is a bit tricky. That means animal which is hunted but not dead yet can still be slaughtered. Uh, Animals like deer, because deer lives in the wild. If we want to eat deer, is halal, by the way. Eh? If we want to eat a deer, if a Muslim wants to eat a deer, normally they will either shoot, or they will use an arrow. If they want to shoot, because the only way to catch the deer is either you shoot or you use arrow. If you're going to use arrow, just before you release the arrow, you say in the name of God, then you arrow, then you can consume. It's considered halal. You do not need to slaughter because you cannot catch the animal. So if it's still alive, then you can slaughter it. If you're going to shoot with a gun, same thing. You say in the name of God, then you shoot. Then it can become halal. If it's still breathing, you slaughter it. If it's not, it's dead, it still can consume, because deer are animals that you do not rear. So it is out in the wild. Okay. So that's dead animal. Number four, stated in the Quran, yeah. Number four is animals slaughtered without reciting. As I mentioned, the only difference between halal and non halal is that we have to ask permission. If you don't ask permission, maybe you see Africa, they sometimes they sacrifice to their god, and they just poke the animal with an arrow. These are not halal in the Islam world. Or you do not slaughter, you just knock the head of an animal. This is not halal. We have to ask permission. And like I told you, 4 plus 1. So in the Quran, stated 4 plus 1. The four is pork, blood, dead animal slaughtered without reciting the name of Allah. The plus one is the alcohol. It's separate, on a separate page. There's alcohol which we cannot consume because it's intoxicating. Once you consume alcohol after a certain amount, you cannot think properly. Yeah, you will maybe you cannot even talk properly. So because of this, it is considered non-halal, because you cannot be a sane Muslim. You can become insane. So in the Quran, 4 plus 1. But again, the source of halal not only come from the Quran. This 4 plus 1 comes from the Quran. What are the other three sources? There's four sources. Yeah, the three other sources is Sunnah. Yeah, Sunnah means the practice of our Prophet. Yeah, peace be upon him. The Prophet, there is his practices. Number three is comes from the ijma. Anything in between the gray area, it is decided by the group of Islamic scholar. That's the ijma. And of course, the number four, which is the resemblance. Yeah, the resemblance, like what I say, if frog is not allowed because frog live in two land. Any animal that live in two land also considered not halal by some school of thought in Islam. You know, again, we have different sect of Islam. So some view it as haram. Yeah. So there is four category of halal food. Yeah. Either they come from the Quran directly, come from the Sunnah, Ijma, or Qiyas. Qiyas is the last one, the resemblance. So I think we do not have much time. I will stop here. I think you do not have enough time to ask for a question. But again, I there's about 4 minutes. Please ask some question. You know, at least I can answer. Sister Ida.
Okay. Why is it that we are only talking about pig? What about the goat and the deer? Isn't it
Oh,
that all the two-toed animals are the haram?
oh, there is a lot that I have not covered because of time. You know, we have 1 hour. This is
I see.
just
Okay.
probably the
So
almost
we're not only centering on pigs. Now, regarding pigs again, you said pigs are haram just because they are uh, scavengers.
yes.
If they're not scavengers anymore and they're fed
Organic pig.
food from the food from the restaurants, will they be scavengers? Will they be haram?
Because this comes from the holy scriptures we follow because the same goes with the Jew until today they still follow if you read the biography of Jesus himself, Jesus does not consume pig at all. So
I
even
see.
Jesus does not consume pig. He believed, you know, yeah. So like what I say, this is a very sensitive topic, which I do not wish. But again, we Islam, we have this law that we have to follow.
Okay. Now, what do the Indians do with their pig? Because they have stray pigs there. What do they do? Do they just
Okay,
kill and you know
when
slaughter
you
the pigs, not for consumption?
when you say Indians, can you clarify which Indian? Indian
India,
or
India.
oh India? Okay,
Yeah,
okay. As you
Counting
know,
the country.
India, when you say Indian, it is a race. It is not a religion. Because in India, there are Christian Indians, there are Indians which are Jews, there are Indians which are Muslim, there are Indians which are Hindu. Majority are Hindus. And you know, if you see history, Bangladesh and Pakistan used to be also India, and there was separation that even Sri Lanka, then they become four countries. Yeah, most of the Muslim goes to Pakistan. All right. So coming back to the Indians, in Hindus particularly, uh, they believe in either vegetarian or non-vegetarian. So they consume vegetarian. So by
I
default, if you go to any Indian restaurants, they do not sell meat. But again, in today's context, most of the Indian consume meat. So in India, you will see three kind of logo that they use. Is either green color, which is vegetarian, red, which has contains meat, and orange, which is some sort gray area. All right. But again, remember, this does not mean that green is halal because they only look at the main ingredient, but not the byproducts. For example, the KFC, yeah, they will put red, of course, meat, but a chocolate, although it's green, but it might contain
yeah.
emulsifier which comes from pig parts. So it is not automatically halal. Yes, back to you. Any further question?
About alcohol, you
Yes,
know, most of the recipes now they put alcohol, like in the flaming steak. You have alcohol there
yes,
to make the flame, and
yes,
then in the
definitely.
cakes you also
Yes.
use alcohol there. So that is
Okay, this is a very interesting topic. That is a very good question. All right. Alcohol comes from two different areas. All right. Number one is the industrial alcohol. Number two comes from the beer industry or the beer
Yeah.
whiskey, all these spirits. This is the another industry. In Islam, we call it the hamar industry, which are used for human consumption. Industrial alcohol is what we use in, for example, the hospital or cleaning. You know, before injection, normally they put some alcohol. These are industrial. And then for cleaning in the industry, they use alcohol not for consumption. Industrial made, okay, I've already given a warning because of the time exceeded. Why not we do it the next week? We will touch is a very interesting topic, alcohol, and you have to understand
Yes.
when can alcohol become halal, when it become haram. Yeah,
Yes.
so I hand it over to you, brother Ismail.
Yes. Actually, I have many questions also. I would like to ask the question of, balot, di ba? There's
Yes.
a small chick
Uh,
inside,
Yeah,
and when you cook it, the chicks inside is dead, and you will eat the dead chicken inside, di ba? Anyway, there's a question about it, and also uh, intoxicating plants like opium
yes,
used in the medical industry, because you cannot be operated
yes.
if
yes,
you're not
very good,
injected
Med-
with opium, di ba?
very
It
good.
will intoxicate you. It's not haram in the
yeah.
medical science. Okay. Anyway, we have no time. Any parting words, brother, sister Aida? Very
Yes, I
parting words.
hope I'm also invited next week because I like the
Yes,
topic.
Yeah, it's
And
getting
it is
interesting.
really very, informative what you're
Yes,
saying.
yes,
And then we now understand the idea of halal and haram. And why is it that we have to use halal food instead of haram food? Also, we would like to know next week, if, for example, you're diabetic or you have cancer, can we just say, oh, you use just halal so that you will be healthy? Because, as you said, it is not always the case.
yes,
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yes.
that will be my question next week.
yeah.
Thank you very much for
Yeah,
having me.
good. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
thank you everyone who's watching this series. Uh, I hope I can be of some help to all of you, and we shall meet again next week. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very much also, Professor Aslan from Singapore, and Sister Aida from the Micro Entrepreneur Representative of the Philippines. And for me, I'm Ismail Abaya. Thank you for watching this Halal Talk Singapore, and see you again next week. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sukran.
Salamat,
Thank
salamat.
you. See you next week again.